Welcome to yet another episode of 100% Sale of Journalism Ethics here with me, Kaushal Bhatia.
And Sailesh.
For all the first time listeners, here's how it'll go. Sailesh and myself have selected a few stories from certain beats that have taken place or developed in the past week and give our 2 cents on the same. In the first minute, we have to narrate the story in as much detail as possible, and the following few minutes is open for group discussion. Before we begin with our first beat today, here's a little did you know trivia about our podcast. Little does anyone know if the coin had landed on heads, this channel would be of our rap duo, Gaslit Aag or Kerosene Fire. But, but however, I won the toss and decided that we'll start a podcast talking about monotonous things in far more monotonous ways. And Sailesh, aka Sacha Rakshash, had had to agree to it. Isn't that right, Sailesh?
Yes, I just got to know it, but I think it's correct.
Okay, Sacha Rakshash. I mean, Sailesh.
Yeah,
We'll begin with the podcast. Okay, let's begin with the first beat of the day, which is national news. That'll be taken up by me.
yeah.
And the story is from Times of India, and this is about Goa. Here's the headline. Sorry, I'll first. It's credited to Gauri Malkarnekar.
Hmm.
Did I say it right?
Yeah, Malkani.
Okay. And here's the headline. Inside Mollem, a biodiversity paradise fights for survival is the headline. The
Huh.
story, as many of you would have already guessed, is about the protests that are taking place all over Goa. Not all over Goa, but in certain sections, mostly the south, which is the
Hmm.
Molekole area and Shandor, but they are for two different reasons. This story is
Hmm.
about Molekole, where there is a project of a substation to be placed there, which will
Hmm.
provide 400 kilowatt more power to Goa. It is called the Goa Tamnar project, and it is a project of Sterlite Power. Other than delivering 400 kilowatt feet to Goa and scale up the transmission network for power
Hmm.
evacuation, the generation of all this electricity is coming from the Raigarh pool, which is in Chhattisgarh. So this is all the technicals of the project that is there. Now the
Okay.
story is about how this is taking place, and this location that they've chosen is taking place in a protected forest area. It's a private patch of forest area, and
Yeah.
it is one of the eight hottest biodiversity spots in the world. There have been, so the story goes as there is engineering student called Nilesh Suzare, and
Hmm.
his father had returned with cattle which he had taken for grazing, and
Yeah.
also returned back with the information that certain private forest patch had been cleared for construction of that substation that I just spoke about.
Yeah.
So obviously we cannot deny the fact that Goa is going to require to scale up and develop, and they will need more power sources. They will need
Hmm.
to increase the, because they don't generate any power. There are no power stations, generating stations in Goa. They are taking it from different states. That's from Karnataka and Maharashtra,
Hmm.
and this will be required. But at the same time, there is always another way, right? More than
Yeah.
you actually taking over something that is a protected forest area. It is one among the eight in the world. So when you think
Yeah.
about that, it's in the world. We're not talking about in India itself. I'll give
Correct.
you some more information about it. So
Hmm.
Mollem's protected area itself stands to lose over 20,000 more trees in the
Hmm.
coming months due to this project.
Hmm.
The particular story also brought some red flags. They said that before this all this had started, there was no Gram Sabha meeting held for sanctioning the project,
Yeah.
and that the reason that they gave was because of the pandemic, and the
Hmm.
Gram Sabha Panchayat was shut or whatever. And and the construction license issued by Panchayat makes no mention of technical details of the substation at Sangod.
Hmm.
So they are basically just talking about the layout and all, but I really don't know how these documents are. So probably they don't actually hold it, but probably I could be wrong. But the main thing here is, I feel that they are just not trying hard enough to do sustainable development. We hear about it a lot, we study about it in the books, but there is no attempt to it, because why can't they do solar? Why can't they try solar, wind turbines, and all of these other clean energy methods that they have?
Correct.
that they can use. Because I was also reading a particular report earlier where a few people in India have been awarded by some, I think, UN or some kind of international body for their
Hmm.
work in these tourist areas in the Himachals and Uttarakhand areas. They've
Hmm.
started putting solar panels, so the electricity is generated within that, and they don't
Hmm.
require that kind of transmission line and a substation and all of that. So I
Correct.
feel anyways we are heading towards doing more clean energy because we know that the environment is not in a very good place. Like, I think we've destroyed it beyond the years we can salvage, which is the
Correct.
narrative that has been given by environmentalists and people experts in this area.
Correct.
So what is stopping us? Like, how can, like, what can we do here? And at the same time, also, if you could talk about that gram, like overruling, just not taking care of the Gram Sabha, meeting not taking place, because that means that the center is deciding everything. You're not that elected representative. The Gram Sabha is worth nothing. They have to just listen to you. Yeah, Sailesh.
Uh, no, I agree. The reason this story broke out was it's got two other projects linked to it. One is expansion of the national highway,
Hmm.
and also the double tracking. Like in Goa right now, the railway is only a single track, so
Correct.
they have a project which means they will double track, they'll lay another track for the railway, so
Hmm.
trees will be cut for that as well. So including all that, so many trees will be cut.
Hmm.
And the reason it got into news was it was given environmental clearance by the Ministry of Environment, Government of India Central Ministry, and uh, all three projects were cleared, and nobody had any idea of what this and nobody, I mean, the Goa government itself didn't know what these projects mean, and it was just noted by one person who is kind of involved with this whole Save Mollem campaign. And what she found out was that these three projects were cleared, and
Hmm. Hmm.
since it was an online clearance, there was no question. And this happened in June that people got, like, she got to know, so it probably is around that time only. And this is
Hmm.
at the height of that phase where we were just coming out of the lockdown, but still restrictions were quite high. So there was no question of having Gram Sabha and all those things. And at the same time, uh, in September, the power minister held a press conference and he said, "We don't have the detail for this particular project, this electric substation thing. So we'll go and talk to the center and get some more details." So this is a state power minister saying he doesn't know what's happening in his own ministry,
Hmm.
and there's a big project coming up, trees are being cut. So that's the problem here. The problem is not you want to build something. The problem is how you've done it. First of all, you've not talked about uh, alternatives. You've just said that okay, we are going to build this power station, we are going to expand these roads and double track the railway route. But
Hmm.
at the same time, you've not considered alternatives. You've not talked to the people. So that's why there is a backlash where around 2-3 thousand people got together last week in Mollem, and they protested there, and this was late in the night. They
Hmm.
started at around 10 and went on till midnight and beyond that. So the problem is that state government has no role to play in it, didn't have a role to play in it at that point of time. And since it happened, it's no, rather than taking care of the interests of the state, they've kind of batted for the other team, or rather the central government. So
So
there's
you're
a lot of.
saying, so there is also a case of the credibility of these ministers who are elected from their constituencies. For the locals, the credibility of these guys is gone. They are not representing you really. They are basically there to do what the center wants to do. And to be honest, the trust
Yeah,
factor is also not there that they'll do it well.
correct,
Because
correct.
you're seeing many projects that are there in the center of the state. Like if you can see the Giri Highway, which was taken
Hmm.
up, and that is a very iconic place.
Hmm.
That stretch of the highway is very iconic. It's connecting Mapsa to the to Porvorim, and there is the main road which is there, the main highway road. The
Yeah,
inside roads from Giri go to Sangolda and then Salegaon and all that. But so that is what I'm saying. So the trust is not there. If you're going to take such a big iconic place and not complete it properly, and the highway is all dug up, the roads are a little confusing. It's a dangerous place prone to accidents because of such kind of infrastructure.
Hmm.
So the trust is not there. So how do they? What can they do? They just I mean, I don't know.
So the problem is, to be honest, at this point, I feel very delusional. For the past year or so, there was a time when I was supporting one particular political party, and there was some whole soul faith with it. Ki, no, come what may, at least this party won't do this. So some trust was there. But now, to be honest, looking at the way things are, in the end, it's about how they could stay in power, and it's never about lok kalyan, as they say in Hindi, or general public good. To be
Correct.
honest, it's just about staying in power, and I don't have any faith in any of the governments. Not in the sense that I've lost faith in the system, but you understand, like the
Yeah,
current
no, as
government
in
or the
you
previous
realize
government.
that there needs to be new blood into politics. There needs to be complete change up because these people are there for eternity and they've not been able to do the things the right way. So either all of them have some skeletons to hide, that's why they are being easily persuaded by some party or another, or whatever it is, but they've obviously showed that they can't. And it's both the sides because there are 13 ministers which are currently in the BJP that had jumped from the Congress. So it's not like you're talking about only BJP ministers. You're talking about the general, leaders who normally stand for these elections in Goa.
To see, in the end, now it's become see, the problem is, what, the people have an expectation of sustainability, but at the same time, you need to understand that there's some real need. So if the roads need to be expanded, they need to be expanded. By calling for complete stoppage of it, it's not leading to any solution, because if you say, okay, we don't want any of those three projects, my question is, if it is needed, if there is a reality, you need to accept that some requirements will rise.
No, I
You will.
agree. I'm completely. I'm not that earlier self in which I was like, no, not needed and all. I know there is a requirement for there to be some kind of
Correct. No,
infrastructure
no, no.
build up for the.
I'm not saying about you. I'm saying
No, no,
about
I
the.
know, but I'm making my point. One more thing that I wanted to say was, and this is my last take on this particular issue, is
Hmm.
recently I had read about that one building, 85-year-old building in China, which walked into a new location, and
Hmm.
you must have
Yeah.
seen that. You see what they
Yeah.
are doing. You understand what I'm saying?
Correct.
They are making projects and all, but they are finding innovative ways so as to
Hmm.
not disturb the whatever thing is there. Obviously, that was a concrete jungle completely. But I'm saying if they are doing that, if they are picking up a 85-year-old building, which was a huge ass building, it was a school, right? Why can't
Hmm.
we find ways in which we do this thing? Okay, we create these highways and all. We let these jungles be the way they are. I mean, definitely there must be studies into this. Anyways we
Yeah.
are taking time, in doing projects, then why do we do it properly then? We got so much talent in Goa itself. There are those designers in Purorim area just near Kokero. They've done many projects which are sustainable and they are these
Hmm.
eco green projects. Take them, consult them, put it out there, call the experts. You think they don't want to help, especially in the state of Goa? In Goa,
Correct.
people want it to be the best. They love the
Correct.
state, and I know that as a fact because if you go there, there's a pride of any person who lives there, even if they are not from there. If they come
Hmm.
there and they find a certain kind of affinity, they really want to make it better genuinely. So
Hmm.
I feel that there is an alternative probably for all this because I think these things can be like look at what AAP is doing, that tree transplantation thing.
Correct.
I mean, why not in Goa? That could be great because Goa already has such great beauty to protect.
Correct. Correct.
And that's my last take. Anything else you want to add, Sailesh?
No. No. No.
Okay, with on that note, we'll move on to the next beat, which is national news politics, and that will be taken up by you, Sailesh, whenever you are ready.
Uh, the story for this particular beat is that Jharkhand has, revoked the general consent for CBI to carry out its probes in the state. So,
Hmm.
for those people who don't know, what happens is the CBI is governed by Delhi Special Police Establishment Act, which doesn't allow it to go and probe the state or state government employees in other states.
Hmm.
So they need to usually take a take permission from the state government for each and every investigation they will do related to the state government and the employees. But as far as central government employees are concerned, they don't need to take any permission. So they can directly go and investigate whether it is in Delhi, Jharkhand, UP, Madhya Pradesh, anywhere. So what the states you would normally do is they would give them a general consent, as in whatever you want to do in future you can do. You don't have to take special permission for each and everything. So Jharkhand, the headline is Jharkhand joins list of non-BJP ruled states to revoke general consent for CBI probes. So now Jharkhand has joined other states like Kerala, which did it like 2-3 days ago.
Hmm.
Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal. However, Andhra Pradesh has reinstated it when YSRCP leader Jagan Mohan Reddy became the chief minister. And after Chhattisgarh, it was also the same. Sorry, West Bengal and Chhattisgarh as well.
Hmm.
So what we are seeing normally, to give a context about this story, is that in non-BJP ruled state, wherever there are probes that could harm the government, or the investigation of a particular case would, have a political impact on the ruling party,
Hmm.
they usually revoke the consent so that that investigation doesn't take place.
Hmm.
Now, uh, in the context of Maharashtra, it was about the TRP scam, because what had
Right.
happened is there was a case registered in Maharashtra. The investigation was going on about the TRP scam. Then there was a case registered in UP, which would in general allow the CBI to probe all the TV channels and all the media networks. But in the previous case, it was only a specific channel, and a specific channel which is Republic close to the BJP, that was under investigation previously. To bring
Hmm.
everyone under investigation, there was a case filed in UP, and then that's the reason CBI consent was revoked, so it doesn't come and investigate. The Kerala government revoked it because the CBI was going to probe a housing scheme which had donations from Red Crescent Emirates, and it was supposed to be over violation of Foreign Contributions Regulation Amendment Act. So over that they had revoked it, and this shows that wherever the CBI is going to probe, and since it is a housing scheme, and the reason is because there was a gold smuggling scam that happened in Kerala, where the one of the accused, Swapna Suresh, who alleged
Hmm.
that she had received kickbacks in that particular housing projects worth around 4
Hmm.
crores. So that would be bad for the government even if the investigation starts. So they revoked the consent for the CBI to probe. So you see this trend growing amongst non-BJP states. Wherever they fear any investigation would impede them, the ruling parties, they usually do that. So
Yeah.
after this long monologue, Kaushal, please go ahead and give us your take on this.
Yeah. So like, there are many points I want to add, but I'll just give you one brief thing is that the fact that they are using central agencies, obviously they are in control of the party which is at the center, which is from the government, and they are using them for political reasons, and many of them are political reasons, because otherwise they wouldn't be, going to that particular case or trying to get this angle, and it is becoming quite clear, or maybe it's the media interpretation of it, and that is what I'm taking from it. So many of these
Mm,
states are saying that if you're going to use one of the executive branches of the government and use it
mm,
for political reasons, which should not be the reason, which is not a good thing. Because if you put politics into, I mean, obviously politics is there because all of them are people and all of them choose a side. But at the same time, like the army has that professionalism, it has the discipline. I feel that discipline needs to be implemented to a certain degree into all these central agencies as well. They look at the job and they get it done. If they try
mm,
to work with an agenda and try to make certain statements and all. Now, obviously, I'm not alleging anything. This is the kind of thing that it's giving me from what I'm reading and what I'm watching and whatever things that I've read. So I just feel that is a very bad thing. You're
mm.
giving the credibility of the CBI away, and many people have lost, that faith in them. So it is not a good way to go forward. At the same time, I understand the state government's, kind of anxiety of allowing them to come in because you never know. and everyone has
Hmm.
skeletons in their closet. So definitely there'll be something or the other they can use. So I think on that note, we can move on to the next beat.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so the next beat is business, and that is going to be taken up by me.
Hmm.
This story is from the Tribune, and it is credited to Ajay Banerjee.
Hmm.
Here's the headline: UAE gun maker bats for Make in India plan exports.
Okay.
So this story is basically about a company called Caracal,
Hmm.
which has won the bid to supply 93,000 carbines to the Indian Army.
Hmm.
Now, at an interview that the Tribune had with the CEO of this company, whose name is Hamad Salim Al Ameri,
Okay.
they had a conversation, and he talked about how he's planning to, besides this particular bid that they will finish off, they want to create a base, a manufacturing base in India.
Okay.
And they said that India already makes 60% of the product that it has
Hmm.
selected. And this company does not only deal with these kind of weapons, they have a wide range of weapons like pistols,
Yeah.
and they're planning to create a base in India. So that is going to create some kind of growth. At the same time, there is a rule in FDI which I had to go through the website to just understand a little bit more, because in this particular report, the person who's taking the interview asked whether they're going to go the 75 route, or are they going to go to the automatic route. Now, the automatic route is in defense projects. You can have
Okay.
up to 74% equity in that particular company, which
Hmm.
is going to produce these things. But if you share modern technology and you bring the access to modern technology to India, then it can be beyond that.
Hmm.
So you understand what I'm saying? There's going to be technology
Yeah.
sharing. There's going to be a growth in the defense manufacturing and whatnot. And the CEO said that they are really they've already selected a place and all. They're going to announce their local partner soon.
Hmm.
At the same time, it's just they're still considering what it's going to be, but they want to share all these technology and they want to grow in India, which makes sense. I feel they've got a
Hmm.
good
Correct.
India and the UAE, or the Saudi Arabia and the Arabian Peninsula, the whole area, the Gulf countries. They were
Hmm.
very cultural relationship that is dating quite a long time, I would say.
Okay. Okay.
And it works in they know how to work with Indians, and it'll be a great project for them because India is going to grow anyways. They've got the population and whatnot. At the same time, my view of this particular story: great thing for defense manufacturing, great thing for economy going up, jobs coming in. Uh,
Correct.
the thing is, I don't know if I'm okay or I'm happy about a gun maker creating a manufacturing base in India, because as
Oh.
my thought process is, going into the future there are going to be more guns on the streets. If you're going to
Hmm.
have a gun manufacturer, ultimately what's going to happen is they are going to have products that are going to spill over the streets, and there's going to be
Okay.
a lot of guns in people's hands. That is my prediction in the future, and I think this has been like this happens, right? Am I being crazy?
I don't know.
No, I mean I strongly believe that, because ultimately they're not going to stop at after they give up these exports and all. They're going to keep building, and they're going to keep finding customers, and they're going to sell it to them, right? Whether it is legally or whether it's not.
Yeah.
So there are going to be easy access for many people, whether it's kids or delinquents or whatever, to get their hands
Hmm.
on these things who are not as responsible.
Hmm.
So
Correct.
that's the thing. I'm always very apprehensive when it comes to these
Skeptical.
things. What is your take on this? What do you feel about this project? Good thing, bad thing?
I think it's a good thing that they want to set up VR, and it's natural because India is the second largest importer of defense equipment,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of there's a big market in India because we consistently there's a lot of upgradation that needs to go into the Indian armed forces,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of potential. It's slow, it's happening slowly, but then there's a lot of potential to make money. So I think looking at that, they want to come, and for lucky for them, they have a bid to supply those 90,000 carbines. So they'll
93,000,
probably
yeah.
93,000. So they'll probably they look forward to have a long term relationship, and since
Yeah,
they to entrench themselves, might as well build a manufacturing plant. I think it's a good idea in terms of business prospects. I think it's a good bet for them, to come to India and set up a plant.
not only it's going to be beneficial for Caracal and them, but it's also going to be beneficial for India because if the exports are going in from India where they've been manufactured, there's going to be money
Correct.
coming into the government for export customs and GST or whatnot. At the
Correct.
same time, it's going to add a lot of jobs, a lot of labor jobs, which means there will be mass recruitment, which is a good thing. And at the same time, yeah, that is my take on this. But you know how like I already said, I'm a little apprehensive about anything defense type coming into the country because then it just makes easier for people to be able to buy these one way or the other. This is like, yeah, that is my, maybe it's a paranoia that I have. Yeah. Anything you would like to end with?
No, no, no. I'm good.
Okay, so on that note, we'll move on to the next beat, which is international, and that is
Yeah.
going to be taken by you, Sailesh, whenever you're ready.
So everyone has been watching the US election results and specifically focused on the presidential election results. But then there was also election that took place for the House and the Senate as well.
Hmm.
And as far as the House is concerned, there was a group of four Indian American Democrats who
Hmm.
had been a part of the House last term. And what happened is one of let me just tell you their names. One person is Dr. Amit Bera, second is Pramila Jaipal, third is Ro Khanna, and fourth is Raja Krishnamurthy. And these people have been part of the US Congress, which House of Representatives, which is the lower house of the US Congress, and the upper house is Senate. So these people have been re-elected in their to the House, and one of them, Raja Krishnamurthy, had dubbed all four of them as the Samosa Caucus,
Hmm.
like how the African American or Black Caucus and the U.S. Congress. There's a uh, Latin American, this thing, Hispanics caucus. So ethnicity wise, there's a caucus. So he had dubbed it the Samosa caucus because samosa is an Indian snack. So
Yeah. Iconic Indian snack.
uh, iconic Indian snack. So, anyways, there's I think the fifth person who's part of this caucus is Kamala Harris, who but she was not part of the House of Representatives. She was a senator from California.
Okay.
So,
So I'll
anyways,
pretend
that's
I'll pretend to understand the political system of
no.
America.
Basically, Senate is the upper house, like the Rajya Sabha,
Rajya
and
Sabha.
the House of
Okay, okay. Right,
Representatives
right.
is the Lok
Lok Sabha.
Sabha.
Correct. Okay. Okay, now I got it.
So that's
Why do they have to use such fancy words? Why can't they just say Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha? I don't understand. They have to. Like, how will Indians understand all this Senate and all? Probably they will. I'm just the stupid one. But yeah, my take on this. We actually talked about this
yeah,
just before we started recording. And one thing that we want
yeah,
to talk about is there are so many Indians, okay,
yeah,
that are being represented in governments across the world.
correct,
There has been obviously the most representation we've got is in the ASEAN countries, among which two of them, I think the president was from Indian origin. Then there is also America, UK. There is New Zealand. There's one more Indian representative in the
mm,
government. So that I'm just that was the conversation we were having is it is so crazy for anyone to think that the world is going to be against India or not aligned with them at some point because we are there in every community in a sense. I don't know if this is going to go the wrong way among some people who are afraid of Indians. They're like, oh, they are taking over the world, kind of
mm,
a thing. But at the same, it's the truth, right? We travel, we go there. But at the same time, I was also saying that it's easier for us to adapt because if you're from a
correct,
country where there's so many cultures around you and
correct,
you're interacting with them, you're looking at their traditions and all, you're learning these things and then you're just accepting it because there are a lot of people, there's a small amount of land and you're going to stay with them, so then it's
correct,
easier for you to just find your way. Now imagine if you go to like a European country or if you go to the US, and I'm presuming I've not been to one very recently, I might have gone when I was very young, But I'm
Hmm.
presuming that they have much better facilities. Their state infrastructure is of a better quality, and several other things that I would like to say. And that is because they have been developed countries for a longer time, so they have those finances. And
Correct.
as compared to that, India has still some things that we need to improve on. That includes the law and order situation and several other things. So when Indians or any person from a third world country, so to speak, in that time, or even now you would consider a developing country, they go to these places, it's easier for them to
Adapt.
adapt, just do their own thing and follow the rules because they are getting a lot of benefits from these places. At the same time, there is bigotry, there is xenophobia and all that everywhere, even in states in India. Like you wouldn't want a neighboring state resident to come to your state because you're like, oh look how they're coming to. It's India. It's like it's gonna happen a little bit. Yeah,
Correct.
that's my take on it. Continue. I mean, whatever. Yeah.
No, I think, and one more important thing is, uh, the thing, I think Indians are more tolerant than they are given credit for,
Hmm.
and for all the media coverage that we get, normally usually it is negative and all. It is true that there's a lot of diversion and all that, but then there's also a easy acceptance of diversity, or someone different than you.
Yeah.
It's not a shocking thing. For example, in Europe, hijabs were a very shocking thing, but in India, any 4-year-old Hindu kid will not find it very shocking to see a woman wear a hijab, or burqa, or the women
Correct.
in the house. The hijab and all, while it may be shocking to certain in certain people in Europe,
Right.
or
Yes. Yes. Yes.
the way of dressing is different, and it's a bit this thing. They are a bit culturally shocked to see
Hmm.
that this kind of a dress code exists. For us, it is normal because we've seen it, or rather, we've seen women in burqa since we were children. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. We don't. That's why when we go to other cultures, maybe we don't find whatever they do very shocking, but we understand, and we kind of sort of accept it, that okay,
Yeah.
they probably do it this way.
Like I'm pretty sure, if some Indian goes to say Thailand or the ASEAN countries, and they also must be having those traditions that they're still practicing, right? So looking at
Yeah,
that and observing that, they must be like, "Acha, ये लोग ये ऐसे करते हैं." They
yeah,
will take
correct.
interest in and they'll be like, "Okay, okay, so this is how it is." Because we still
Yeah,
have
correct.
our kind of methods, and it's kind of you make parallels and all. But while if a person from Europe or USA will come, they'll be like, "Oh, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they would look at it the same way. I'm just making up stuff." But on that note, I think if we have exhausted this beat, we'll move on to the
Yeah,
next one.
yeah, sure.
Okay, on this note, let's move on to the next beat, that is sports. That'll be taken up by me. The
Yeah.
story is from the Hindu. It's credited to V. Subramaniam.
Okay.
Here's the headline: Jwala Gutta Academy of Excellence launched. State-of-the-art complex has 14 courts and would also cater to other sports. World Championship bronze medalist and one of India's best women's doubles shuttlers.
Hmm.
Jwala Gutta formally launched her Jwala Gutta Academy of Excellence in the premises of Sujatha High School near Gachibowli on Monday. It's in
Okay.
Telangana, and
Yeah.
the Minister for IT and Municipal Administration was there, who formally launched it.
Okay.
And the reason why I took this story on is because we always talk about facilities, we always talk about
Hmm.
infrastructure and how we need to have more of it. And I remember watching an interview that Saurabh Pant, who's a comedian, had taken of Jwala Gutta along with Somdev, who's a
Hmm.
tennis player, and she was talking about how she's
Yeah.
working on this particular thing, and she's really brought like all these state of the art equipments, and she wants people to have it at a good price so they can become, like, if they have ambitions to do it professionally, this particular facility is going to help them.
Hmm.
And since she's been in the system, she's dealt with the boards and all, of which she's also had a conversation in that YouTube link, which I will also put along with this
Yeah.
story. It's, I think, a great perspective for a person to guide these youngsters who want to get into it.
Correct. Correct.
Now I feel great thing. Okay, 14 courts, other sports like cricket, all these things are there in it, and I feel that people who can take advantage of it, and if there are people from there listening to this, which is highly unlikely at this point, but if at a later date you're listening to this, you're like, well, let's listen to it. If you've joined at a later point and then you're coming back, anyways. So join it. Try to participate in something there. Use it, even if it's just for recreation. If you want to just blow off some steam, I think if you have a facility like this near you, use it, play with other people, play sports. It's good to be fit. It's good to do that. It's good for the brain also. I love to play sports, to be honest.
True.
Even though I might not be following a lot of them right now, but I can play football, cricket, all of that. I enjoy it. You teach me the sport and I'll play it. It's nice.
Yeah.
So
True.
the point is, great job. What do you have to say about this?
Not much, but then I think it's a great initiative from her part, and that's what we need. That if someone has made it,
Hmm.
if they can, uh, not to say it in a wrong way, but afford to give back a little, and
Hmm.
maybe they can, support this kind of initiatives. Because
Huh.
at the end of the day, what is your role? You become a icon of sorts. Then people have aspirations to, replicate your success or become like you, or do something on their own which is much beyond you. So if you have the time and the money, then why not, invest some time and encourage these people, and just the way she is doing. I think it's a good initiative. Hopefully, a lot of people will give it a good response and benefit from it.
Yeah.
Correct.
And on that note, we'll move on to the next beat of this episode, that is entertainment.
Yeah.
That will be taken up by you, Sailesh, whenever you are ready.
So the story for the entertainment beat this week is Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge set to return to Maratha Mandir as Mumbai theatres reopen. So
Hmm.
for those people who may not be aware of this, Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, the iconic film from the 90s starring Shah Rukh Khan and Kajol, is set to return to Maratha Mandir. And the reason that's newsworthy is because Maratha Mandir has been continuously showing that film for the past 25 years, and the only reason it took a break in between was because of the coronavirus pandemic, where the theaters were shut. Now, but because the theaters are set to reopen, these people are, trying to restart the whole thing, where they'll start showing the movie. And it's got like 2 3 shows a day, from what I remember.
Oh my
Last time
God.
someone made a documentary on it, and people go. There's a crowd. I mean, probably it was, I don't know what it is, but there was a crowd on the day those documentary filmmakers went. And recently, the film completed 25 years. So, Shah Rukh Khan and Kajol on their Twitter handles changed their name to the characters' names. And,
Rahul
there was a lot.
and yeah, yeah, yeah.
Simran, I think. So there was a celebration that was happening, and truly, to be honest, I don't remember much about the film, and I don't even remember if I watched it fully. But the truth is, I have watched parts of it, but DDLJ has been consistently in the conversation for the since
Okay. Let me let
I've
me let me give you
uh,
my take on this. Okay, very
yeah.
quickly. I don't know what the hype is about, to be honest, man. I swear to God, I
Uh,
can't believe Maratha Mandir is doing this for 25 years. They are like this.
yeah.
This film has hit the benchmark. There has been no film in the past 25 years. In the past 25 years, Silesh, there's been no film since Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge that has come close for them to consider and be like, let's give this one a shot. Let's play this forever now. I mean, they. I don't understand it honestly. I remember the movie, and I remember the review that these people had done, Kanan Kelan Biswa Kalyan Dutt, and I found that more entertaining. Maybe as a kid, you're watching these things. You are. I have great respect for Shah Rukh Khan and Kajol. Both they are fantastic actors, but then some things you just no.
So I think the reason this film is iconic because uh, that subject was never done, something like that. I don't remember, but it really showed a different perspective to the audience, and probably that's the reason this film clicked at that time.
See, I'll tell you what. If you make a documentary about even Ted Bundy, you're gonna be like, oh, great. I wanna find out more, right? Because that's the job of a documentary to make it interesting and sing praises about it. If they had
No,
done the document,
I didn't watch a documentary or the full documentary. I just remember them talking about this four
acha.
five minute clip where they were talking about Maratha Mandir. That's all I remember. उसके
Okay.
अलावा no
I don't
other.
know why. I don't have hate for it. I don't have hate for it. But it's a great thing you brought up because I did want to speak about this.
अच्छा.
So yeah, and I think I'll tell you what. Probably the fact that they are playing three shows and all. People are
Yeah.
having dates in Mumbai. like throughout the day, right? There'll be someone who's going for a morning date, for a afternoon date, and all. Now, if you don't know what to
Hmm.
do, what do? You just sit in a theater and talk to each other because you've already watched that film. If you're going there, like, that's the only way you can bear it. Like, if you watched it, you know what's coming. So you're gonna sit there. It's gonna be a nice. I don't know if there's a AC room in Maratha Mandir, but I think, yeah, that's why it could be that popular.
Experience I've
But
had with metros is that, huh?
yeah, I think your audio had cut for a while, and then you said that is the thing with metros.
No. What I meant to say is that my experience with metros that has been for the past 1.5 years is that in cities like, let's say, which have a lot of development that happens, big cities, there's no space for
Hmm.
privacy. So where do you go? You go to
Yeah, yeah.
malls, you go to theaters. So if Maratha Mandir is a, if it wasn't a date spot, if probably one guy hears it from us and then thinks, okay, that can be a good date spot, probably it will become in the future.
Yeah, by the way, the fact that I'm saying this, I'm not saying go there and do stuff, okay? Please. It's Maratha Mandir. It's near Shiv Sena's headquarters in Dadar, I feel. I think. No,
Yeah.
I think that's Plaza. I don't know. Anyways, but whatever it is, don't do funny business there. You did not. I don't recommend this at all. Find another place. Don't do this. Go there to talk to your date and all. Beyond that, I've not said anything. I don't recommend it. I don't suggest it. Please, please. Okay.
Exactly.
That
True.
is. Thank you for pointing this out, Sailesh. Thank you.
Yeah, but it's true. In big cities, privacy, you don't know where to go and sit quietly, and
Yeah.
even if it's about just talking, it's difficult to find. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think Maratha Mandir is a good place to go and talk, but just
Correct.
talk, of course.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's okay. You live in Goa, but yeah, but still, you
Mm,
might come to Mumbai sometime.
mm,
Anyways, on that note, I feel we'll move on to the next beat, that is opinion of the week, and
yeah.
that is taken up by me. This week's opinion is from First Post. It
Okay.
is credited to Iqbal Salakar, and here's the headline: Muslim unapologetics have grounds for critiquing left liberals, but group must not project political goals as religious ones. So now let me just give you the context of this particular opinion that has been written. So he's talking about these two student groups who fight on Muslim identity that have come out. There is
Okay.
Muslim student activists. One is the
Okay.
Islamists and the other are the Muslim unapologetics. Now I don't know who's coined these terms, but you're kind of understanding the differentiation that they're making.
Hmm.
Now, so the thing that is similar between them is they're promoting Muslim identity politics on non-religious grounds, and I think they're talking about the Muslim unapologetics here, similar to
Okay.
the Dalit movement, the Adivasi movement, and the Black Lives movement in US. So the Muslim unapologetics bases their thinking on subaltern and decolonial thinkers. That is, the people who think of untangling the production of knowledge from a primarily Eurocentric source.
Hmm.
You're understanding? So they are trying to say that let's talk about these things, these social contracts that we've built on these European centric thoughts. Let's just, be openly Muslim and so and talk about rights and whatnot. Now, this particular
Correct.
opinion, what it talks about is it is great that the MA, that is the Muslim unapologetics, are critiquing the left and liberals of talking about appropriating Muslim experiences and throttling Muslim voices. So, as in
Okay.
basically treating them like vote banks.
Yeah.
You understand? And this is the thing that before the recording I talked about this one podcast called Flagrant 2 that takes place in the US.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the elections that are taking place.
Yeah.
And they talked about the demographics. So, right now, between Trump and Biden,
Yeah.
Biden is almost about to win at the time of when we are recording this.
Correct.
And they saw the demographics of which Trump's voter base came down. The
Correct.
surprising thing is that their voter base has come down from white male. The
Yeah.
Latinos, which were from socialist countries, because they don't want something like a communist state, they are not going to Democrats
Similar
because
experience.
similar experiences. Then there are the blacks, there are the Indians, and several other communities which have voted for Trump, but the white males have decreased. At the same time, the black males have started also voting more for the Republicans, and they are becoming more open with their political support, even if it's unpopular amongst the normal, what they think that normally the people or the African Americans are going to support the Democrats since they have their
Hmm.
interests at heart. And this
Hmm.
conversation was, it's a great thing that they are voting everywhere, because then the other party will know that they are up for sale, in the sense that if you take up their political goals and if you help them out politically, whether it's economically or whatever, they are going to vote for you. It's not like you can't get them at all. You
Hmm.
understand what I'm
Correct.
saying? So it's
Correct.
like
Correct.
when many people, let's say if Muslims start voting for BJP. Now this is an
Hmm.
example that I'm giving. I don't support
Correct.
any party. I feel that all of
Hmm.
them are, anyways, you know my thoughts on this. So if they start voting everywhere instead of just Congress, what's going to
Hmm.
happen is other parties are going to realize that okay, they're up for sale, as in they're ready to think differently than they have in the past. So let's
Hmm.
see if we can help them achieve their political goals. Let's see if we can help them with
Hmm.
infrastructure, with housing, with these things, whatever they are facing. And if they're happy with us, then we can be sure that they are going to vote for us. Because
True.
earlier the whole thought was that no matter what you do, there's going to be a perception battle and you are not going to get the vote based on his identifying himself as a Muslim or him being a Muslim, which is a false understanding of things. Anyways, putting that aside, this particular opinion piece talks about these Muslim unapologetics who are critiquing the left and liberals because how they've used, as they feel, the Muslims to just get the votes and then throttling the Muslim voices, no representation and whatnot. Now, at the same time, the reason why they're doing that is because the left and liberals, while they create a uproar when someone like Umar Khalid is arrested,
Hmm.
but they are silent when a Sharjeel Imam is arrested.
Hmm.
So you understand what I'm saying? One is a person who's a conservative Muslim
Yeah.
political thought, and Umar Khalid is a left-wing activist. So
Yeah.
this is why the Muslim unapologetics are critiquing the left and liberals. Now, at the
Hmm.
same time, they should not let the Islamists speak for them. So if you start speaking that language, because the Islamists have religious political goals. They are of the,
Hmm.
it's similar to the, I wouldn't say Hindu, I would say Hindutva definitely. I would say similar to Hindutva, which is joining their political goals along with their religious ones. And this is a
Okay.
very dangerous thing to happen, I feel. Even if it's
True.
in the narrative, if it is not in the implementation, and if it's in the narrative, what's happening is a lot of people are being influenced by what you're saying. So there is a
Hmm.
certain partisanship that is being created in their heads. At the same time, it is also these Muslim unapologetics who are giving it to the left and liberals should also speak their mind about certain issues. And they shouldn't let the Islamists speak or defend them about everything. Now you understand what I'm saying, right? Because
True.
you're in a coalition partner, you're going to overlook at the flaws of your partner because they are
Hmm.
giving you some kind of political gain, which has happened in previous governments because they've needed these people. But at the same time,
Hmm.
they have really bad ministers, and that's in all parties, obviously.
Yeah.
So this particular article is just talking about people in general. I think mostly they are targeting, they're talking to it's like a message to the Muslim unapologetics who are saying that it's right, it's great that your agenda is similar to the liberals and the left,
Hmm.
but at the same time, if you're going to slip up on the narrative and
Hmm.
you're going to join your political and religious goals, then it is going to be very difficult to differentiate you from the other group, which is the Islamists, just to get that
Correct.
vote. So they are kind of going in the same direction. Are you understanding? They are going the same as
Yeah.
left and liberals, but at the same time they are Muslims.
Correct.
But they wouldn't be probably talking, thinking like a Islamist who want a
Hmm.
certain kind of religious autonomy and these things and have a little regressive thought, which all conservatives do. But whatever, that's the point that I'm making. What do you
Hmm.
think about this particular opinion? And if you want to go somewhere else and branch out, you can do that as well.
Do what?
If you want to branch out from this, if you get a thought about something else from this opinion, you can also do that. We'll do that.
No, no. The truth is, to be honest, in Indian politics, it's either this or that. There is no middle ground that is accepted. So, if you are want to showcase your religion, you are right wing. You can't be a liberal. That's what the understanding is,
Hmm.
or you're criticized for it. And there was a statement made by Modi that and it's a accepted fact. You can't deny it. That
Hmm.
maybe 20 years ago, calling yourself a Hindu was not such a great thing, but today it's become a pride thing for some Hindus. So the differentiation has been because of the central party, the ruling government has changed, and they brought their own culture to it. So I
Hmm.
think this whole thing about being proud about your religion and all, and at the same time, you need to understand to what extent it is acceptable. So
Correct.
that goes for everyone, even the majority community, the Hindus and Muslims and Christians and everyone.
Hmm.
Like, you be proud of your religion, that's part of your culture. Nobody's denying that. And anyone who makes you feel ashamed for it shouldn't do that, because you shouldn't get influenced by that. That's what I feel. So be proud of what you or who you are, rather, and at the same time make smart choices. Like, that's a good point they made, to vote for the other side, make become a part of their stake, or rather become a part of their narrative and all those things. I think it's a good accepted fact.
Yeah.
But then, of course, there's also a question of these right-wing people of having no incentive, because either way, they if they polarize enough people, they'll win the votes. That's what they know, and that's what the past two elections have been. At least the last election has been totally on polarization.
But the thing
So,
is, see,
hmm,
this is the thing I feel, this is my own understanding of it. And I feel
hmm,
many of these people who are political strategists in all these main parties,
hmm,
okay, ultimately they're reading these books, and the books say the smart thing to do is if you can take in your enemy into confidence or whatever, not enemy, that's a very wrong choice of words, but let's say
hmm.
if you take in the people who are resisting and you work with them, it is going to be beneficial for you, right? If they're
True,
ready to
but
come
then
on board, it's going to be beneficial for you on a long term basis. And I think these people know how it is to stay in power. It's only to keep your other people in line, not to make stupid statements or not to incite anyone. That is, sorry.
no, continue.
So that is what I feel. I feel that if they're reading these books, they are going to be ready to do it. But at the same time, you never know how cruel one can get, or how polarized one is, or how bigoted one is. And I'm
Hmm,
not commenting on anyone in particular, but I don't think I have
hmm.
to. So yeah, I think on that note we can move on to the final beat of
Yeah.
the podcast, and that is interview of the week, which will be taken up by you, Sailesh, whenever you are ready.
Yeah, so the interview is of French President Emmanuel Macron in on Al Jazeera, and he talks about free speech is much broader than mere cartoons. That's what
Hmm.
the title of the speech is. It's attributed to him. So many of you know what's happening in France.
Hmm.
The particular teacher was killed, beheaded by a 18-year-old Chechen uh, teenager who got offended because he showed the cartoons depicting Prophet Muhammad
The
in
Charlie
Islam.
Hebdo cartoon,
So,
which had incited the
hmm,
terrorist attack on their.
terrorist in 2015.
Yeah.
So the teacher, during his freedom of speech, while explaining freedom of speech, sort of spoke about showed the cartoons, and that offended a few people, people from his class who followed Islam, students rather. And when this news got out, eventually it kind of led to a backlash, and at the same time, this 18-year-old going and beheading him. So after that happened, there was a lot of protests in France about this whole incident, and Macron said that we will not give up the cartoons because this is our policy on freedom of speech. And he said he personally, and in the interview also he talks about it, he personally has no stake for the cartoons. Like, he doesn't, like, he personally doesn't say that these cartoons, whatever he doesn't have a personal opinion on them. But what he says is our society law, or our society's understanding of this thing, rules that we follow, is that it should be okay for you to show these cartoons. So he's like, I'm defending that. I'm not defending the cartoons. That's not what
Hmm.
this is about. He's like, the right to show it. So, anyways, there's a lot of backlash that happened in the other Muslim countries as well, in our
Correct.
neighboring Pakistan and Bangladesh as well.
Even India.
And there was a lot of, even in India. So there's a lot of backlash that happened in the Muslim world against this, and Macron has taken a strong stance. And one of the reasons people say is because he's going to face elections uh, in France, and then what happens is he there's a lot of polarization that's happening in Europe, so he doesn't want to lose the competitive edge to a right wing person by not taking a strong stance. So probably he's doing that, taking such a strong stance against this whole incident is because it will politically benefit him in the domestic politics. So, anyways, the whole point is that if anyone wants to hear from the horse's mouth about the whole issue,
Nice.
this is the interview you go to. So,
So
what do you have to say?
is it because it is a saying, or because Emmanuel Macron's face looks like a horse's face?
No, definitely it doesn't look like a horse.
Sure. I'm
It's a
kidding. I'm kidding.
thing. That's the
No,
reason.
but
Mm.
yeah, I think. I mean, possibly it could be because of political reasons, but at the same time, I feel this is, how the Arab Spring had this first particular incident that took place in Tunisia, and then it was like a, social media effect that went across states, across countries. I feel if
Mm.
this particular stand that is taken on freedom of expression, okay, it's a very simple explanation of it. There is no, I think your voice is gone, so I'm going to wait for a minute. Okay, you're back. Uh,
हाँ हाँ अभी आ गया अभी आ
yes.
गया.
So what I was saying was that I feel like how the Arab Spring had kind of a inertia that took it across countries where people started protesting against their dictatorial governments. So I think similarly, if this particular stand that Macron has taken, and there's a very simple explanation of freedom of expression that is there, which he's
Hmm.
given, he said that there should be nothing that condones that kind of violence.
Hmm.
I mean, nothing, no matter what. Obviously, it is very distasteful and it is not very good for that person to provoke them, the provoke the people who follow Islam, who are, because it is offensive. If there's something that you're believing so strongly of, it is offensive. So it is kind of a provocation on the first ground. But at the same time, the reply to that is not killing, it's not murder. It's either ignore or boycott. You can boycott. That is civil disobedience. Do that. Don't get
Yeah.
into violence of any sorts. If you don't agree with a particular policy of any company, also don't buy their products. So just don't resort to violence. There's nothing that condones that kind of behavior. And I feel also people need to be responsible. At the same time, I respect the stand that Macron has taken. I feel a lot of people will now speak openly because there is something of being politically correct and there is something just suppressing things because you're feeling them, you're just not saying them. Articulate
Correct.
it better, whatever you want to say. There is something there. There is something repressed, there's something pushed because society doesn't agree to it. But that is also not healthy. Because ultimately you're going home and you're telling your people the same thing that you're feeling, and that those feelings might not be the right thing. Rather than that, articulate it and have a dialogue about it. If you're not comfortable about
Hmm.
something, if you have a problem with something, you can do that. If you're gonna go there, it's like a passive aggressive person who will be like, "Oh, nothing's wrong," and then you're building up this resentment with the other person, and then you blast.
Hmm.
It
Correct.
comes out as a cartoon disrespecting their faith. You understand what I'm saying?
You blast.
So have a dialogue, have a dialogue. No one dies, right? Have a dialogue. No one dies. Boycott if you want. That is fine. That is your wish. No fighting. It shouldn't be there. These people are trying to incite you. The people who are being included in violence on either side, white, black, Hindu, Muslim, Sikh,
No, I
Isai.
think I think both sides are hypocritical, and I don't give a two cents damn about what Muslims feel because those fuckers are being hypocritical about this in particular because if you're really about this religious thing, you would really be seeing them act against the what's happening in Xinjiang against the Uyghurs. You're bloody
Correct.
keeping quiet about it, and you're being very hypocritically angry about these cartoons, which don't. This is the fucking problem in society: is that
Yeah.
our priorities are so fucked up in life that we are protesting over some cartoons being shown in France, not even in an Arab country, not even by a Muslim, by a Christian who's not related to you in any way, is doing that. That is offending you. Whereas your own this thing. People from your own religion are being persecuted in a country, but you're fucking keeping quiet. You don't have any care for it,
That's
and then
true.
you have the to say that you are offending Islam. Fuck you and fuck your protest. To
Yeah,
be
yeah.
honest,
Well,
so
that's a very good point put forward. I
yeah,
think this is
that's
selective
the
outrage. This is something called selective outrage, and
yeah,
this is definitely a
exactly.
political goal rather than something you're empathizing with. I'm pretty sure, like you said, not all of them are empathizing with it. They've just been told, create outrage. You need to
No,
be
and
offended.
it's no, no. Another thing is, it's not about also being angry with the Muslims. It's also about the way France is handling it. They are also being very dick about it, talking about freedom of speech. Who the fuck? You have been a leader of democratic values, and then you've gone and colonized countries and thousands. This thing, people in Africa, Latin
Yes.
America. Asia, and you have no right to come here and say, okay, we are going to defend freedom of speech. Fuck
No,
you
but
as well.
no,
So,
no, but no. I'll tell you
friends,
what. That is one thing I similarly had that particular thing. But can you really still hold that against them now?
no, I'm not holding that against them. But then there is also a part where they are continuously involved in these areas where you can't say that you are completely out of the this thing,
Correct,
that you
correct.
are not doing any kind of exploitation. You don't have the right to say that.
I
And to
understand.
be
I
honest,
understand the frustration because obviously, as a state, a lot of all the states do this thing, and being the colonial
hmm,
power and all, they've obviously this is a hypocritical double standard thing that they're doing. But at the same time,
hmm.
when you have to take a stand, I feel the words that they are saying, the action that they are taking, they are saying fine. It's like how Atal Bihari Vajpayee had said, "कि किताब का जवाब किताब से." So
True,
similarly, proportionate response, no matter who, no
true,
matter what, whatever the issue
true,
is, respond according to the offense it has given you. Don't go crazy,
true,
right?
true,
So
true.
that is what I would like to conclude with. Any parting words, sir?
No, I just got angry over the whole in France. There was a attack
Okay,
in.
wait. What happened was your internet went away after you said I just got angry. So basically, your service provider has a particular sensing mechanism where you have got angry, and and then they cut your this thing off. Okay, so you said I just got angry.
No, no. Basically, I just got angry over the whole thing where, you know, the people, the hypocrisy of the argument on both the sides. And like you said, I completely agree with your this thing take on it, that it should be proportionate, or at least don't get the violence. This thing, violence shouldn't be your go-to thing to while responding to anything,
Hmm.
any kind of offense. So, and unfortunately that has been, because there have been 2 3 attacks that have happened after the whole Samuel Paty beheading, which
Correct.
is goes to say that people have not really inculcated this understanding of not going to the or rather not taking the violent part towards
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So, anyways, like the last thing I would say is, I hope that this doesn't escalate too much and de-escalates very soon.
Yes, that is the hope, I think, because
Hmm.
if you are violent, the way you act, that sets precedent, and the next person takes that as an example, and that gets
Exactly.
carry forwarded. So let's all calm down, and with that, let's bring
Hmm.
it to an end to our wonderful podcast this week. We will
Yes.
have Sir Sailesh Tanpure. Sir Sailesh Sacha Rakshash Tanpure.
No.
Sorry. Sailesh Tanpure, who will give the, what do you call the final remarks or the goodbye things. And he'll also explain why we are called 100% sale of journalism ethics here. Sailesh, please take it away.
So the reason we are called 100% sale of journalism ethics is because it's a clickbait. We don't actually indulge in any kind of ethics sale, to be honest. Not that we do a lot of journalism as such, but anyways, the whole point is that there are people who claim to do journalism and are selling their ethics, and we don't sell the ethics, but then we do try to do whatever journalism we can. So it's basically a play on words, or rather a misrepresentation of ourselves. So, anyways, if you do like our podcast, please do subscribe, and like and share if you do feel like it, and also give us any feedback you would like to give in the comments, and we'll definitely try to work on ourselves to make
Or
it more better.
probably not. We'll probably not work on ourselves, but we just like to
Yeah,
get comments from you. So you
but we
can.
would just like to say that we're gonna do that, like how politicians do.
I don't like to lie.
So
I don't like to lie. To be honest, you know, I am too beautiful to lie. Okay, see, I lied.
yeah.
Anyways, so Sailesh has told you all. Please subscribe, please like and comment if you'd like. Please, nice things only. And
Yeah.
with that, we'll say goodbye to you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.